Think of Antarctica like the planet's locked attic. It's cold, remote, and everyone assumes it's just full of old, forgotten junk. But archaeologists just picked the lock.
The last remaining territory on the planet that could have such a designation is Antarctica.
And what they found inside isn't junk. They've uncovered a structure that's completely out of place, something that hints at a time when Antarctica wasn't a frozen desert.
It feels like you're entering a portal to a different world when you go through that hole in the ice. Looks like something you've never seen in your entire life.
The crazy part is, this discovery connects to lost maps, secret military operations, and a puzzle that could rewrite history. What was found in the attic is a game changer, and it's about to be revealed. What's hiding on King George Island? We're talking about a place so hostile it recorded the lowest temperature ever found on Earth. A bone-chilling minus 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, about that, it's safe to say this place is not friendly to life. For decades, we've been fed the same story. It's a lifeless, untouched wilderness, valuable only to scientists in parkas counting penguins. But what if that's just the cover story? What if the ice is just a blanket hiding something so massive, so profound, that it would change the world overnight? Recently, internet sleuths and independent researchers scouring satellite maps stumbled onto something. It's on King George Island, which is one of the southernmost islands just off the Antarctic Peninsula. And what they found immediately set off alarm bells all over the world. It's a massive cave entrance. But it doesn't look like any normal, natural geological formation. We are not talking about a small crack in a rock face. The crazy part is the sheer, unbelievable scale of it. Satellite measurements suggest this dark opening is roughly 74 feet high and a staggering 250 feet wide. To give you some perspective, you could easily fit a Boeing 757 passenger jet inside this thing with a room to spare. But the size alone isn't what has researchers and internet detectives so baffled. Here's the catch. At the base of this enormous entrance, there appear to be steps. That's right. Dark, rectangular shapes that seem to be set right into the snow and rock. They look uniform, as if someone or something carved them there on purpose. Some observers looking at the high-resolution images even claim to see faint markings that look like footprints, leading from these steps deep into the blackness of the cavern. For a place like Antarctica, where humans very, very rarely travel, these details are mind-boggling. And get this. The cave's appearances are just as strange as its features. It was first spotted in a Google Maps image back in 2007. Then it seemed to just vanish. For a few years it was gone, completely covered by snow and ice. Then by 2022, it had made another brief return, which sparked a whole new wave of excitement and, of course, a lot of skepticism. Scientists have an official explanation. They suggest this vanishing act is just a natural cycle. It's the result of snowmelt, the natural shifting of the ice, or strong winds covering and then uncovering the entrance. It's not that simple, though. The pattern remains highly unusual. Could it just be a random natural formation, or is there something more deliberate at work here? Those steps and the footprint-like marks raise questions that simple geology can't just brush aside. Now, King George Island itself isn't totally deserted. You might be surprised to learn the island actually hosts several research stations. Countries from all over the world, including Chile, Poland, and South Korea, have bases there. So you'd think if there was a giant, mysterious cave with steps, one of these research teams would have documented it, right? You'd expect a scientific paper, a press release, something. Yeah, about that. There is nothing. Despite this human presence, there are no official expeditions, no research papers, and no public reports of anyone entering or even studying this cave. It's a black hole of information. Its remote location on the island and the constantly shifting snow might have kept it hidden from ground crews. But in the age of high-resolution satellites, nothing stays hidden forever. Theories about this cave have, as you can imagine, exploded online. Some suggest it could be a secret base, maybe a hidden laboratory built deep beneath the ice. Others speculate it might be an entrance to an ancient city, a structure frozen in time for millennia. A few have even proposed the wild idea of a crashed spacecraft that was buried under the snow and ice long ago. While those ideas are just speculation, they capture the imagination. The cave has become a giant, dark puzzle carved into the ice, leading to what exactly? For all the high-level intrigue, the most logical explanation is usually the right one. Geologists will tell you that Antarctica's history is incredibly complex. There's volcanic activity, shifting tectonic plates, and the crushing, grinding movement of glaciers. Nature is fully capable of creating formations that look deliberate, even architectural. We see faces in mountains and patterns in clouds. It's a trick of the mind called pareidolia, but the human-like steps at the base, combined with this cave's on-again, off-again visibility, make it really hard to just dismiss the idea. It's hard to believe that there isn't something more going on. What lies beyond that dark entrance is still a total mystery. The satellite images give us hints of depth, but they can't show us what a person would see up close. Some experts believe the cave might extend for hundreds, maybe thousands of feet deep into the mountain. They think it could contain chambers that have been perfectly preserved under the ice for centuries. Others are more cautious, warning that ice caves are incredibly unstable and dangerous. They have shifting ceilings and hidden crevices that make any exploration attempt a potential one-way trip. This cave is baffling, but what if it's not a new discovery? What if it's just the latest discovery? What if it's just the tip of a continent-sized iceberg pointing to a secret that's thousands of years old? But this is just one cave. The rest of the continent is hiding things that are even bigger. A civilization, frozen in time. That cave on King George Island is a stunning anomaly. But what most people don't realize is, it's not alone. This is just one piece of a much larger and much stranger puzzle. For years, researchers and conspiracy theorists alike have been pointing to other massive geometric shapes in Antarctica that just don't add up. The most famous of these are the Antarctic pyramids. You heard that right. Pyramids in Antarctica. Satellite images, again from Google Earth, have revealed several mountain peaks that look suspiciously, well, pyramidal. They have 4 distinct sloping sides that look eerily similar to the famous pyramids at Giza in Egypt. One of the most cited examples is a massive structure located in the Ellsworth mountain range. You can even look it up. The coordinates are 79 degrees, 58 minutes south, and 81 degrees, 57 minutes west. Its base is estimated to be about 1.2 miles on each side. That's significantly larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza. So here's the deal. Scientists and geologists have a very clear, very boring explanation for this. They say these are nunataks. That's a term for a mountain peak or rocky crest that sticks up through an ice sheet or glacier. The argument is that the pyramid-like shape is just a coincidence of natural erosion. Millions of years of freezing, thawing, and wind blasting can supposedly carve a mountain into this shape, and that's putting it lightly. They say it's perfectly natural. But is it? The structures are so geometrically precise, and when you find several of them in the same region, it starts to feel like less of a coincidence and more like a pattern. Could these be the weathered, frozen ruins of something ancient? This idea seems crazy until you dig into a wild theory that might just be the truth. What if Antarctica is the lost city of Atlantis? Stay with me. Everyone's obsessed with the idea that Atlantis is at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. But what if Plato, the guy who first wrote about it, was telling the truth about the city, but everyone got the location wrong? This is where authors Rand and Rose Flemeth come in. In their book, When the Sky Fell, they proposed a mind-blowing theory. They claimed that Atlantis wasn't just an island, it was a continent-sized civilization, and that continent was Antarctica. What most people don't realize is that Antarctica wasn't always a frozen wasteland. We know this for a fact. Millions of years ago, it was part of a supercontinent called Gondwana. The climate was much warmer. Fossil evidence proves that millions of years ago, Antarctica was covered in lush forests, flowing rivers, and thriving ecosystems. They found fossils of giant insects, dinosaurs, and all kinds of plants. It was a green, thriving continent. The Flemeths took this a step further. They built on the work of a historian named Professor Charles Hapgood. In the 1960s, Hapgood, who was championed by Albert Einstein, proposed a theory called Earth crust displacement. He suggested that the Earth's entire outer crust isn't totally fixed. He believed it can suddenly and catastrophically shift, moving huge land masses all at once. According to this theory, around 11,600 years ago, which is exactly when Plato said Atlantis was destroyed, the Earth's crust shifted. The landmass we now call Antarctica was moved from a temperate, comfortable climate zone to its current position at the South Pole. This catastrophic event would have caused the civilization of Atlantis to be rapidly buried under miles of ice, freezing it solid and wiping it from human memory. This, they argue, is what caused the great flood myths that you find in almost every single ancient culture on Earth. It wasn't just rain, it was the entire planet's crust moving, causing unbelievable tsunamis and climate change. This all sounds like a great story, but where's the proof? This brings us to one of the most baffling artifacts in history, the Piri Reis map. The Piri Reis map is a real, verified artifact. It's not a fake. It was drawn in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral and cartographer named, you guessed it, Piri Reis. He wrote on the map that he compiled it from much, much older source maps, some dating back to the time of Alexander the Great. What's so crazy about it? The map shows the coastlines of South America and Africa with incredible modern-day accuracy. But that's not the bombshell. The map also shows the northern coast of Antarctica. Think about that, this map was drawn in 1513. Antarctica wasn't officially discovered until the Russian expedition of 1820, and even then they only saw the ice shelf. No one had any idea what the continent's coastline actually looked like under the ice until we developed ice-penetrating radar in the mid-20th century. But here's the catch. The Piri Reis map doesn't just show Antarctica. It shows it without ice. It details a coastline, with mountains and rivers, that perfectly matches the subglacial landscape we've only recently mapped with our most advanced technology. How is this possible? Mainstream science dismisses Hapgood's theory. It's too radical, but they still can't explain the Piri Reis map. They can't explain how a 16th century admiral knew what the continent looked like under 2 miles of ice. So let's connect the dots. We have a theory that Antarctica is Atlantis, destroyed by a pole shift. We have ancient maps that seem to show this ice-free continent drawn by people who shouldn't have had that knowledge. We have satellite images of what look like massive man-made pyramids buried in the ice. And now we have a new discovery, a huge 74-foot-high cave entrance with what look like carved steps leading into the darkness. Are these all just separate, unrelated coincidences? Or are they all pieces of evidence pointing to the same unbelievable truth? That the ruins of the most advanced civilization in history are buried under the ice. But what if someone else found them first? The Nazi Alien Alliance. The mysteries of Antarctica aren't just ancient. Some of them are much more recent, and they involve one of the most powerful militaries in the world. This is where the story gets dark. We need to talk about Operation High Jump. Officially, Operation High Jump was a United States Navy expedition to Antarctica that took place from 1946 to 1947. It was a massive undertaking. We're talking about 4,700 men, 13 ships, including an aircraft carrier and submarines, and dozens of aircraft. The official story was that it was a scientific expedition. They were supposed to train personnel in frigid conditions and test equipment. They were also tasked with mapping large parts of the continent. But here's the deal. That official story has never sat right with researchers. The sheer size of the force was way beyond what you'd need for a simple mapping mission. It looked less like a scientific team and more like a full-scale military invasion force. And get this, the man leading Operation High Jump was none other than Admiral Richard E. Byrd, one of the most famous and respected polar explorers in American history. He was a national hero. But his comments after the mission were strange. The expedition was supposed to last for 6 to 8 months. Instead, the main fleet was recalled to the U.S. after only 8 weeks. They left in a hurry, and reports from Chilean newspapers at the time claimed the fleet had returned in bad shape and had suffered many losses. This is where the wild theories kick in, and they are truly mind-blowing. The most persistent theory is that Operation High Jump wasn't a training mission at all. It was a mission to find and destroy a secret Nazi base. Yeah, about that. During World War II, the Nazis had their own Antarctic expedition. In 1938, they claimed a huge swath of the continent, calling it New Swabia. They planted flags and explored the region, even finding warm, ice-free areas. The theory goes that in the final desperate days of the war, high-ranking Nazis, including possibly the leader himself and their top scientists, fled to this pre-built underground base called Base 211, or New Berchtesgaden. They didn't just take supplies, they supposedly took their most advanced secret technology with them. This tech included flying discs, or UFOs, known as the Haunebu. According to this theory, Admiral Byrd's invasion force didn't just meet bad weather, they met heavy armed resistance. Proponents of this theory point to unverified reports and alleged journal entries from flight crews who described engaging in a full-on battle with disc-shaped craft that could fly at incredible speeds and fly from pole to pole. They said these craft emerged from under the ice and attacked the fleet, causing massive damage and forcing a full retreat. This all sounds like science fiction. But then there's what Admiral Byrd himself said. After returning, Byrd reportedly went to Washington for a top-secret debriefing. Later, in an interview with a Chilean newspaper, he was quoted as saying something truly chilling. He allegedly warned that the United States needed to prepare to defend itself against an enemy that could fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds. He spoke of a new conflict where the U.S. could be attacked by objects that can fly from one pole to the other. What did he mean by that? Was he talking about Soviet technology? Or had he seen something else? Now we go even deeper. What if Byrd found something even more shocking than a Nazi base? What if he found the entrance to the Hollow Earth? This is a theory based on a missing diary of Admiral Byrd. This alleged diary, which the government denies exists, tells a different story. It claims that on one of his polar flights in 1947, Byrd didn't fly over the pole, he flew into it. The diary claims he found a massive opening at the pole. He flew his plane inside, and instead of ice, he found a vast, hidden inner world. It was a tropical land with lush forests, mountains, and rivers. He even reported seeing prehistoric animals resembling mammoths. But he wasn't alone. He was reportedly intercepted by two of those flying discs and escorted to a vast, shimmering city. There he met the leader of an advanced, ancient civilization that called themselves the Agarthans. This master told Byrd that they were watching the surface world with concern, especially after the use of atomic weapons. They warned Byrd that humanity was on a path of self-destruction and that they were intervening to try and stop it. Byrd was then escorted back to the surface and ordered to deliver this message to Washington. Now, skeptics point out this missing diary often confuses the North Pole with the South Pole. But what if that's the disinformation? What if the diary is real, but the location was intentionally changed to throw people off? What if Admiral Byrd's real mission, Operation High Jump, was the cover for this incredible encounter? What if the battle wasn't with Nazis, but with these inner Earth guardians? So, let's put this together. We have a continent with possible pyramids of Atlantis. Then in the 1940s, the Nazis built a base there. Then the US sends a massive military fleet, which either battles Nazi flying saucers or flies into the planet and meets an advanced race. And all of this is happening right under the ice. The Vostok organism. While the US military was focused on the coast, another superpower was drilling deep into the interior. And what they found might be the most wow factor mystery of all. We need to go to Vostok Station. This is a Russian, formerly Soviet research station, and it's located at the southern pole of cold. This is the spot where that record low temperature of minus 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit was recorded. It is quite possibly the most remote and hostile inhabited place on planet Earth. But the Russians weren't there for the weather. They were there because of what was underneath them. In the 1970s, scientists using ice-penetrating radar discovered something that shouldn't exist. Buried 2.3 miles beneath Vostok Station under a solid shield of ice was a lake. Not a frozen lake, a massive body of liquid water. This is Lake Vostok, and it is enormous. It's one of the largest subglacial lakes in the world, covering an area of 5,400 square miles, roughly the size of Lake Ontario. The crazy part is, the ice sheet above it has acted as a perfect seal, cutting this lake off from the rest of the world for at least 15 million years. Think about that, a pristine ecosystem untouched by sunlight or the surface world that has been evolving in total darkness for 15 million years. The scientific implications were staggering. What kind of life could be down there? So the Russians started drilling. It was an incredibly slow and difficult process that took decades. They were drilling deep into the past. As they pulled up ice cores, they found microbes that were hundreds of thousands of years old. But they were careful not to pierce the lake itself, afraid of contaminating it with modern bacteria. For years, the project continued. But then things started to get weird. First, there was the magnetic anomaly. Scientists mapping the lake discovered a massive magnetic anomaly in one specific part of the lake. We're talking about a huge magnetic signature, one that's way stronger than it should be, spanning an area of 65 by 47 miles. The official explanation? Oh, it's just a place where the Earth's crust is unusually thin. Or maybe it was something metallic, something huge and metallic sitting at the bottom of a 15-million-year-old lake. Then the rumors started. In the early 2000s, as the drill got closer and closer to the lake water, strange stories began to leak out. There was talk of the research team going silent, of communications being cut. One unverified report claimed that a piece of equipment sent down the borehole had picked up sounds, organized sounds. Other rumors suggested the team had finally punched through and had been attacked by a bizarre organism, an octopus-like creature that disabled their equipment. These stories were, of course, dismissed as hoaxes. But in 2012, the Russians finally did break through. They officially touched the surface of the ancient lake. The official report was groundbreaking. They found thousands of new species of bacteria. But here's the catch. The lead scientist of the project made some odd comments. He spoke of finding life that was not from Earth. He quickly backtracked, saying he meant it was unlike anything on Earth. But the slip-up was noted. What is going on at Lake Vostok? Is it just an ancient lake full of interesting bacteria? Or is it hiding something else? That massive magnetic anomaly has never been fully explained. Could there be a structure down there? A sunken ship? Maybe a piece of Atlantis or an alien craft that's been sitting there for millions of years? This leads to one of the wildest theories of all. What if all these secrets, Atlantis, the Nazi base, the Hollow Earth entrance, the Vostok anomaly, are being watched? This is the theory of the Black Knight satellite. According to this theory, there is an object in a near-polar orbit around our planet that doesn't belong to us. It's not Russian, it's not American, it's not Chinese, it's something else. And it's been up there for a very, very long time. Some say as long as 13,000 years. The story starts in 1899 when the inventor Nikola Tesla was testing his radio equipment in Colorado. He reported receiving strange, repeating signals from space. He was convinced they were a message from an alien intelligence. Then, in the 1950s and 60s, strange dark objects were detected in orbit at a time when no nation had the technology to launch satellites. In 1998, astronauts on the Space Shuttle mission STS-88 took a series of crystal-clear photographs of a bizarre, black, angular object in orbit. The official story? It's just a thermal blanket that broke off during a spacewalk. That's all. Just a piece of space trash. But the object in the photos doesn't look like a soft blanket. It looks like a machine that is in a polar orbit. An orbit that takes it directly over the North and South Poles over and over again. An orbit that is perfect for surveillance. What if the Black Knight isn't just space junk? What if it's an ancient probe, 13,000 years old, that was put there to watch something? What if it was left by the Agarthans from the Hollow Earth, or by the Atlanteans as a warning just before the pole shift? What if it's sitting up there right now monitoring the ruins of Atlantis, the Nazi alien base, and the mysterious anomaly at the bottom of Lake Vostok, just waiting? So what's the truth? Are we just seeing shadows, or is a dark story unfolding? The truth is buried. So here's the deal. What are we supposed to make of all this? We've got a continent of ice that is hiding an almost unbelievable number of secrets. It's not just one thing, it's a pattern. A pattern of anomalies that all point in the same deeply disturbing direction. Let's just recap what we're looking at. First, we have the brand new discovery on King George Island. A massive cave, 74 feet high with what look like carved steps leading into the darkness. A cave that appears and disappears from satellite photos. A cave that, despite being near multiple research stations, is officially being ignored. Second, we have the pyramids. Giant four-sided mountains so geometrically perfect they've been compared to Giza. Scientists say they're just nunataks, a natural trick of the ice and wind. Third, we have the Atlantis theory, the idea that Antarctica is the lost continent backed up by the Piri Reis map, a real verified map from 1513 that shows the continent without ice. This suggests an advanced civilization destroyed by a pole shift is now frozen and buried. Fourth, we have Operation High Jump. In 1947, the U.S. military sends an invasion force to Antarctica. This mission is either a cover-up for a secret battle with Nazi flying saucers from Base 211, or it's the cover for Admiral Byrd's incredible journey into the Hollow Earth, where he met an advanced race and was given a warning for humanity. Fifth, we have Lake Vostok, a 15-million-year-old lake buried under 2 miles of ice. It contains a massive, unexplained magnetic anomaly, something huge and metallic, and has been surrounded by rumors of strange creatures and classified discoveries for decades. And finally, watching over all of it, we have the Black Knight satellite, an alleged 13,000-year-old alien probe in a polar orbit which officials try to pass off as a thermal blanket. Are we missing a key detail here? Is this all just a huge series of unrelated coincidences? Are people just seeing what they want to see? Let's be real. It's easy to be a skeptic. Geologists are right. Erosion can do weird things to mountains. Ice caves are natural. Magnetic anomalies are common. And military operations are always secret. It's easy to debunk every single one of these items individually. It's not that simple, though. What becomes impossible to ignore is the combination of all these things, the sheer weight of the evidence, all pointing to the same place. It's the commitment to the core principle. If the core of the mystery is Antarctica is hiding the truth of human history, how do the pieces fit? What if the Piri Reis map is the last surviving record of the Atlantean civilization? What if the pyramids are their monuments, now buried and eroded by ice? What if that massive magnetic anomaly in Lake Vostok isn't a thin crust, but the Atlantean power source? Or an alien ship that's been sitting there for millions of years? What if the Nazis found this technology in the 1930s, and that's what they were using to build their flying discs in their new Swabia base? And what if they made contact with something else down there? What if Operation High Jump was sent down there by the U.S. not for training, but to seize that technology, and they were repelled by either the Nazis or the guardians of that technology? What if the Hollow Earth is real, and Admiral Byrd's diary is the truth? And what if this new cave on King George Island with its massive entrance and carved steps is just another gateway? An entrance to the Hollow Earth? A new opening to the Nazi base? Or a freshly uncovered entrance to the ruins of Atlantis itself? Is it all true? We don't know. But the questions are powerful. The thing is, Antarctica is a big place and most of it is completely unexplored. We know more about the surface of Mars than we do about the land buried under that ice. These aren't just wild overnight theories. These are questions based on real satellite photos, real historical maps, and real military operations. We are missing a key detail, but it's not the one the skeptics think. The missing detail is the truth, and it's buried under all that ice. So, what do you really think is hiding under the ice? Is it the lost city of Atlantis, a secret Nazi alien base, or an entrance to another world? Let us know your theory in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.